Hey food lovers! Are you looking for a cookbook that feels just like home? Introducing Mama's Kitchen Cookbook, a treasure trove of heartwarming recipes straight from the heart of the kitchen. Whether you're a seasoned chef or just starting out, Mama's Kitchen has got you covered with easy-to-follow recipes that will delight your family and friends. From mouth-watering main courses to delectable desserts, every dish is crafted with love and tradition. But that's not all. Each recipe comes with a little slice of history and a sprinkle of Mama's wisdom. It's more than just a cookbook, it's a journey through flavors and memories. Available now on Amazon. So why wait? Bring the taste of home to your kitchen today with Mama's Kitchen Cookbook. Head over to Amazon and grab your copy now. Happy cooking!
Talk to me, Michele, on the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me, Michele. I am your host, Michele. What's poppin', everybody? Another episode is here, and this episode is near and dear to my heart because I will be talking to my father, music executive and author, TC Thompkins. So today we're going to be discussing the bond beyond music. That's catchy, ain't it? I like that. Yeah, the bond beyond music. Now, most of you guys do know of my father, who is a music executive who's worked with many artists, but let me give you guys a little rundown on my dad. He is known as TC Thompkins in the music industry and is a legendary music executive. He's got a career spanning decades in the music industry, starting at the age of 21 with Stax Records, and then he moved on to roles with Capitol Records, ABC Records, CBS, and Epic Records, where he served as VP of Marketing and Promotions. Now, my dad also played a crucial role in launching iconic artists like Sade, Michael Jackson to stardom. Now, beyond his industry achievements, he also has a book out, so he is officially an author, sharing his insights and experiences in his book, When Radio Was King. As a father and grandfather, his journey reflects a successful blend of family life and a remarkable career. Now, the overview of my dad's career in the industry, like I said, it spans over 5 decades of experience, and he began his career at Stax Records, quickly made a name for himself with his exceptional talent in marketing and promotions. Throughout his career, he has held key positions at Capitol Records, ABC Records, CBS, and Epic Records, eventually rising to VP of Marketing and Promotions at Epic Records. He was instrumental in the success of legendary artists like Michael Jackson, Sade, and Luther Vandross, helping them to shape their careers, bringing their music to a global audience, which gave him the reputation as a visionary in the industry. Today, he continues to influence the music world through his company, Thompkins Marketing, and his authorship, and sharing his vast knowledge and experiences. Now, this conversation I wanted to have with my dad because I wanted to discuss not only his career, but our bond as father and daughter. We have a very special relationship. It has shaped both him and myself in profound ways. It's a connection that goes beyond family ties. I want to go through the influence that he gave me. In this episode, we'll explore the unique challenges and rewards that come with this bond, particularly when balanced with a demanding career in the music industry. And we're also going to get into personal stories from moving across states, facing challenges such as racism, and transitioning into new roles as the family grows. Through these experiences, we'll uncover how the father-daughter relationship evolves over time, the lessons learned, and the enduring strength of this special connection. All right, everybody, welcome back, and it is my honor and pleasure, and sometimes, Lord, the strength I need to deal with my own father. Welcome in, Daddy.
Thank you.
Yes, so we had a little, back and forth beforehand, but that's normal.
That's just a father-daughter thing.
Yeah, yes it is. So I'm glad you was able to join me today. I've been wanting to talk about the father-daughter relationship that we have and everything involving your music career. I really would like for you to start with your early life career beginnings, because I know I've heard the story a bunch of times, but I want you to break it down how it all started.
Well, after leaving Vietnam, where I met your mother while in Vietnam as pen pals. That's how we first met. And we fell in love, and I went to Mississippi where she was teaching. As soon as I got back from Vietnam, I spent some time with her. She came up, spent time with my family, met my family, and I went to Memphis and met her family. And we got married. We got married in December, right after I got back from, I think I got back in June or something like that, but we got married that same year in December. I went to college. I attended Bishop in Dallas, and I think I was, after my second semester, your mother got pregnant.
I wonder how that happened.
She fell on something or something happened. and matter of fact, she came down to Dallas while I was in school. Man, the guys used to love for her to visit me because she cooked. You know, wherever your mother went, Lord. She cooked. We had a hotel room at a Holiday Inn on 75. I never will forget this. It was not that far from the school. And she brought a hot plate. She brought a hot plate. She shopped, and she cooked me a full meal the whole time that she was down there in Dallas visiting me while I was in college. But anyway, I started getting sick or having problems, having headaches or I was having some kind of problems anyway. My partner that I was staying with off campus, because I had been kicked off of campus for fighting on campus. So I had to stay with a friend of mine, a guy named Cecil. I never forget. He's a teacher now, a principal somewhere. He was real crazy. But anyway, Cecil and I were staying together. And Cecil told me, he said, man, you sure you hadn't gotten Ernie's pregnant or something? I said, man, get out of here. So I called your mother and asked her, I said, baby, are you pregnant? She said, oh, no. She said, I'm thinking about a little late or something like that, she said. I said, well, I've been getting, having sickness. I had problems the whole time. You get nausea? Yeah. I would have back problems, nausea. I got sick the whole time your mother was pregnant with both you and Rocky. And matter of fact, I lost my first job because of that, because I quit school, moved to Memphis, moved with your grandmother and grandfather, right? Gladys and James Taylor. I stayed with Mama's parents for the first probably about 6 months of marriage or so or something until I got myself off the ground. Right. My first job was with International Harvester. That was in a foundry. That was some serious work.
It sounds serious, just the name of the company.
Yeah, so they made engines, and I worked in that part of the foundry where you mold engines and put them on the line.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 150 degrees in there every day. They had sulfur. It was a serious work environment. Ew. But anyway, I got fired because I kept getting sick. And I kept telling the guy at International Harvest, I said, hey, man, it's my wife. She's pregnant. I'm having these mornings. And the sulfur that they used in the foundry was making me sick.
Oh, okay.
And naturally, they thought I was lying. So naturally, when they called me a lie, I quit.
See, people wonder where me and Rocky get it from.
Oh yes, when they said you used to sound like bullshit. I was, the union rep. I never forget this. The union rep was in there with me, and they were trying to keep me to keep the job. I said, oh no, man, fuck him. I'm quitting. And I'd have a dime to my name, okay? But I got bad, so I quit. I got another job. I got a job with Kimberly Clark. I got other jobs. But when you were born, I was unemployed. And thank God, I think your birth cost $350.
Boy.
I never will forget that because I paid cash. I didn't have no insurance.
Man.
Yeah, so you were born at Baptist Hospital, and I had gotten a job with Zales Corporation by then. Right. By the time that you were born, so I started managing their stores. I managed a store that they had on 3rd, and was doing the jewelry department. I was in a wool coat they had jewelry departments in Wool Coast. And my secret desire was to get in the music industry. That's what I wanted. Matter of fact, I had spoke that, they say, in existence when I was in Vietnam.
Right.
When I was asked what I wanted to do when I get back to the States, that's what I said. I said, I want to be in the music industry because I had just a deep love and appreciation for the creativity of music, and I used to sell a lot of the guys from Stax Records jewelry. They'd come over and they want custom jewelry made. They want their initials and diamonds and all kind of stuff like that. And I had a hookup. Downtown Memphis was a jeweler named Nelson Endicott. I never forget him. He was a wholesale jeweler down there. And I could draw a picture of anything, and he would make it up. So he made up jewelry for a lot of the guys over there. And I sold, I think, the members of the Temprees something, and Eddie Floyd, and William Bell, those kind of guys. I sold them rings and stuff. And a opening came up, but the opening came up first was that your mother had a job at Stax Records.
I remember that.
At the tape librarian. Yeah, I think Mama was babysitting you.
Oh, yeah, she used to pick me up from school, and I would go with her to her office, which was overseeing
right around the corner.
Studio. Yeah, and it was overseeing the studio, and she had a big glass window in there.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, she was in charge of all the recorded material that they used to keep on 12-inch tapes in a vault. They had a tape vault, and she was in charge of the tape vault. So it was so convenient because your grandmother's house was on Gaither Parkway.
Yep.
Your school that you went to,
Stafford,
was right in the next block.
Yep.
And Stax Records was right around the corner.
Yeah, all that's in the winter.
Right around in that same neighborhood.
What, about a 6-block radius max?
No, it was probably about 3 blocks.
Yeah, it was all right there together.
It was all right there together.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, it was, and we moved finally once we got a house. We bought a house out in South Memphis, right close to...
Was that on Charter?
Yeah, that was our first
Charter
house.
Road.
That was our first house we bought. It was a 3-bedroom wood frame house. I never will forget, our house note, I believe, was $96 a month.
Oh, God, don't be saying stuff like that right now. 96.
Our house note was $96. Because I don't think, matter of fact, by that time I had gotten a job. No, at Zales, I was making $800 a month. Okay. Okay, I was making $800 a month as a store manager. Now, on $800 a month, we had a house. I had a brand new Grand Prix. Okay, we paid house note and all of that on $800
a month.
Yeah,
jeez,
that's what I was making.
I need a time machine.
Yeah, and I left that job and went to work for Stax, and that's when I started making some money. Then was with Stax Records and expense account, and they gave me a car, and I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to act. Matter of fact, I was. Yeah, I mean, because, I had a 9 to 5. I was in charge. I was the manager of the store.
Right.
I had employees and everything, but I had to punch a clock.
Yeah.
So, but when I got my job at Stax, I was my own boss. I didn't have no hours I had to be at a certain place and all that stuff, but I got into their sales department, and I started traveling because Stax was trying to start their own distribution. And if anybody buy my book, they'll find out that I believe that CBS put Stax out of business because they would return almost everything we would ship. Stax was hot as fire back then.
Yeah, I remember Stax, and I definitely recall you traveling quite a bit. And with this being your first music position to start your career, I mean, because you were traveling, you're a young married couple. How did you manage, the household and handle your career?
Well, what happened was, once I got to work with Stax, I used to drive a 4-state area. That was a salesperson. I was a salesperson for Stax. So I used to drive Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma. It was 3 or 4 states. I used to drive those areas and sell product to stores. What really tested us in the beginning, but me and your mother, we were in love. We were young because I stayed away when I first got my job at Capitol. you and Mama and them stayed with Grandmama, and I stayed with Daryl in Dallas, Texas. I slept on a couch at Daryl's house because when I first got that job at Capitol Records, when I kind of saw the handwriting on the wall with Stax, and I knew they weren't going to be in business too much longer. So I started interviewing at other record labels. I got the position in Dallas. We didn't have no money or anything, so I just happened to have a cousin that had just started a job with Plow, that had just gotten married. I was such an inconvenience for him. I mean, I really, and I've thanked him a million times for that, because they had a 1-bedroom apartment with a couch in the living room, and that's where I used to sleep. Was on that couch in that living room when I got that job until we bought a house in Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
That was our first real house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Grand Prairie, because we had had a nice little house, though, in Memphis, but it was a little cheap wood frame house.
I remember the house on Charter Road. I remember it was a nice house. It was just, it was a little small square footage house. We had, Rocky was in the picture by then on Charter Road.
Yeah, she was born before we moved.
That's what I thought. Okay. Because I remember her having a crib in the house. I will never forget our outing one night when we went to see Robin Hood's Walt Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Walt Disney's Robin Hood.
Was that in Memphis?
That was in Memphis.
That's right. I think it was in Memphis that they, you were older. Rocky was such an arm baby then. She couldn't go right. Yeah, so me and you went to see Robin Hood, and we laid it on. I bought you everything they had there. Hat, the bow.
The arrow.
The arrow. Oh, yeah.
All the junk. Concession stand food, and got sick of the dog.
You do it. You did it up, baby. I'm trying to tell you. Well, I mean, one thing about it, our whole life though, is our family, is that I just really enjoyed you and Rocky, as my daughters. We just had a great family life.
No, we did. It was, a lot of people, even when that time, $800 paying all the bills, you got now 2 daughters, a wife, and you sleeping on your cousin's couch.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, at the time, I knew you would be gone, but I just didn't know all the struggles that you were going through just to maintain and start building up your career.
Well, I didn't care what I had to do. I really was not a proud person when it came to that. I come from the country. I grew up on a farm. I grew up with my grandparents. My granddaddy would beat my behind. If I didn't work, I had to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If I was in the bed when I was a teenager after 6:30, he'd be in there whooping my behind. He won't know why was I still in the bed. Okay, so, and we had not like a working farm, but we raised pigs. I raised pigs. I did the garden. I did chicken. I did, people that knew me in the music industry would never think.
Oh, no. Not if people know
I was that kind of person.
At this point of your life and didn't know the early humble beginnings. It's like he was a farmer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons that chased me to the music industry, because that was some hard work. I knew I had to get out of there. My granddaddy didn't play. And then we had a big piece of land that and back then they had push mowers. There weren't no power mowers.
Oh,
I had to mow all of that. We had a plum orchard that I had to get the plums out of. We had peaches and pears, pecans. You don't know how good you got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Until
I could go out in the backyard and go get fresh eggs out of the chicken coop. And we had a smokehouse. Now, you're talking about stuff. We had hams hanging in the smokehouse. My granddaddy had all of that kind of stuff. And he owned his own construction company. I talk about that in my book, is that I just didn't know what he had to go through as a black man to own his own construction company. And I was growing up in the 40s and the 50s. I can't imagine.
That kind of pressure,
oh my
racism.
God, I cannot even imagine, man. I respected my grandfather and knew that he was a serious person, not nobody to play with.
Right.
I just didn't realize the command that he took over things around him and the way he acted, I got a lot of that in me.
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
you got a lot of your grandfather's
I do.
will and determination in your DNA.
Yeah, so he has a lot to do to make me the person that I turned out to be. Because I used to hang up on him. He couldn't leave the house without me being in the truck with him. He had an old Ford truck. I used to be in there with him wherever he'd go. That's where I would be, in that truck. Okay. He died when I was 12 years old.
Now, during the career, this is one thing Rocky and I detested. I mean, we're proud of all your achievements, but we detested a moving van because throughout your career, we relocated various times. Why did you feel it was necessary to move out of state for your career to take place?
Yeah. Well, I know y'all were too young in the beginning for it to really matter. But when we started getting to Chicago, it's when it really started taking effect on y'all because y'all were attending school and everything. But I had to leave Dallas to get a position with CBS.
Yeah.
Okay, which was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Okay. And after we got to Chicago, we weren't in Chicago for about 2 to 3 years. I think maybe 3.
Yeah, it was.
Max.
Yeah, I think 3 years.
Yeah, that I got promoted again when we moved to New York. Yeah. So during that time, I had to leave y'all again. Yeah. And find a house. We had to find a house in New Jersey. So I found that's the only house I've ever picked was that house in New Jersey.
The one on Inglewood.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I see, because Mama's usually the house hunter.
Mama picked all the houses everywhere else except that one.
That move to New York, New Jersey was a real time stand. I know for both me and Rocky and your career.
Yeah.
And it was a different era then, as well as it not being Southern. We straight East Coast now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, y'all grew up really in New Jersey, in Teaneck.
That's
really where y'all had y'all teenage years was in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Y'all was hitting it.
Oh man, let me tell you something about Teaneck, New Jersey. One thing I loved about the time in Teaneck, like I said, it was a small town. Isley Brothers has got a lot of history in Teaneck. You had a great career during that time period. But at the same time, our childhood was definitely...
Oh, y'all were killing.
Oh, we loved growing up in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Hanging out with Al B. Shore.
Oh, man. I mean, just...
Redhead King.
Well, I mean, but it's not... It wasn't even about the celebrities that we met. I mean, that was a perk. But at the same time, we had simplicity that we enjoyed. Like, we would go down to the rink in Bergenfield where we roller skate. Then you got Vultee Park. We would go swimming every summer. Used to always talk about our skin tone when we come back after a good swim. We all knew each other.
Teaneck was a great family town back then. It really was, because y'all could walk anywhere where nobody messed with you.
Yep.
There was always cops on the routes for kids that were coming home and all that stuff. And y'all had everything. You used to have that, like you said, the ice cream place right down
Carvel.
the street. Yeah. You had your park right down on the other end with the pool.
Yep.
And everything. So, I mean, y'all had everything that for kids. It was a great time.
No, it was, because arcade spots were real hot. But I also remember at that time that you were working at CBS. And this is when you had you've always worked with great artists, but this is like the cream of the crop.
I got to New York in 78. We went to New York in 78 or 79. It was just a year, I guess, that everything's really started happening for me, because I started working, first big act I started working with. But I worked with a lot of big acts in Chicago.
Okay.
That's where you were. You gave me the track for Bill Withers.
Oh, Lovely Day.
That's right. I remember this like it was yesterday. We driving down the highway, and we could not make up our mind on what single we were going to pull off of that Bill Withers album. And I asked you, because you were always into music. You've always been into music. I said, Michelle, what should we pull off of Bill Withers album? And you said, Lovely Day, Daddy. Lovely Day. I never forget that. I said, okay. That's what I said. I would suggest that. Yeah. So, but Chicago was really where I started coming to my own, because I worked with a ton of major acts up there, and a lot of acts that I really admired, like Minnie Riperton, Bill Withers, Herbie Hancock, let me see who else, George Duke, Stanley Clark, and then a ton of blues acts, Joe Tex, Tyrone Davis, which was one of my favorite people to hang out with. He was so ignorant. Johnny Taylor, Tyrone. Let me see. We had Denise Williams as Earth, Wind, and Fire. CBS back then was just a mega monster with talent. Epic really didn't have that many artists back then. It was mostly Columbia. They had Earth, Wind, and Fire and all those big acts that I was just naming. But when I was in Chicago as a regional, I worked everybody's product. But when I went to New York, they took me and put me into Epic, and I started running Epic. I was first the national director at Epic, and Epic really didn't have that many black acts.
Not surprising.
Yeah, Clarence Avant had a label over there, had a Taboo record label, and he had SOS Band. That was the first big record that I got my hands on when I first moved to New York. Yeah, Clarence Avant and SOS Band were the first big act that I had a chance to work with. And during that time, right about that time, is when Epic signed the Jacksons.
And I remember those early Jackson days. I remember when they were
Destiny and Dynasty
Going Places.
Yeah.
I remember all those albums.
Yeah, they had 4 or 5 albums. The group Gamble and Huff produced one album from Going Places, the one you're talking about. And then they had Destiny and Victory and a whole bunch of other projects. And I just happened to be there at the right time. You know, God put me right there when Michael Jackson, which one of the main reasons he had came to Epic is that he wanted to do a solo project. So when he did his first solo project, it was right before Black Sunday. I think it was Black Friday. You know, when CBS fired shit almost everybody, they to put me in charge of everything. And naturally, one of my first official acts was to fire about 20 people. So, hey.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. As long as I wasn't on the list.
And I understand that, but I know when you did start working with Michael, and I remember you used to bring us promo material from all the artists that you were working, and I remember the vinyls, the covers, and everything. Yeah. But that Off the Wall album got so many songs and good memories to it, and then, you know, you go to Thriller. Now, with us being raised in Teenage New Jersey, we was exposed to a lot of artists. I mean, we were very blessed not only to have you and Mama as our parents, but with you being a music executive, exposed us to the behind the scenes of the music industry and had us, we know Mama would cook so good, matter of fact, that artists used to come to the house all to eat.
All the time. Yeah. Ron Banks, Dramatics would be over the house all the time when we were in the Dallas Grand Prairie days. And everybody started coming over there when we moved to New Jersey. You know, it was just like Thanksgiving. Well, your mother used to love to do that kind of stuff. You know?
She used to love the home entertainment.
She loved to entertain. We'd have 15 to 20 people over to the house, and she just lay it out. She'd be planning those meals forever. You know, I guess my marriage to your mother had spoiled me to the point that that's just what I expected of marriage. You know,
right?
Because a lot of people that I knew that knew me during our marriage, our time together, like Don Carter from Motown, would talk about, everybody used to talk about how your mother would spoil me and make my clothes. Matter of fact, when we first moved to New York, your mother made all my shirts and all my stuff that I used to wear, all my custom silk shirts and all of that kind of stuff. Your mother made all of that stuff for me. Matter of fact, your mother would even make furniture.
Look, for y'all listening, y'all don't understand all the hats Mama wore. I mean, besides being a good homemaker, wife, mother, she took on so many different projects outside of cooking, entertaining.
She loved to entertain. She loved to be involved in projects. You know, I mean, and as I tell anybody this, as quiet as it's kept, your mother was the reason why I was so successful in my career, because I didn't have to be concerned about my house whatsoever. I didn't have to worry about were my children being taken care of, was my bills being paid, was my so-and-so. You know, I just didn't have those concerns whatsoever. Yeah. You know, my biggest concern was to make sure that, you know, she got everything she needed. And then your mother was a little sheltered when we first met. Okay. She wasn't exposed to a lot of stuff. So I was, different kind of person for her. You know, matter of fact, her mother told her, you know, I like him. He's a good looking boy, but he's a little wild.
He's a little wild.
You know, so that was her warning to me. That when we got married, your mother was just not exposed to a lot of stuff.
She was a little more reserved.
Yeah, she was very reserved.
Right.
And it was just the way she had been raised. And in her heart, she was a deer.
Right.
She was wild as she wanted to be. Okay? In her heart, she wanted to do she was open to anything. Okay? But her mother and her father had raised her so strict.
Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I do believe that it affected a lot of stuff that she wanted to do because there was a lot of things that she had passion for.
Right.
That she did not get a chance to fulfill. Like she wanted to be an interior decorator, but Mama and them wouldn't let her go to school in California.
Right.
Or something of that nature, you know. And some other things, you know. But she had so many skills. She'd bake. She'd make these cakes, these all this stuff that you see with flowers and stuff. She could do all of that.
I call her the Black Martha Stewart.
Yeah, she could do all of that.
Yeah.
She'd do all the arranging for the season. She would change the house every season.
Trust me, I know.
Okay? I'm trying to she'd redecorate every season. Okay? So it would have a different theme.
Every season.
Every season, she'd have a different theme.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, she'd go through that. I don't care where we had moved to or where we were.
She was going to make it.
She was going to make it work. She was going to decorate it. And I have to honor her, which I said in the book, is that I think we moved 11 times.
Probably.
About 11 or 12 times.
Probably.
But if we counted the different houses, I think it's 14 or 15 because we moved 3 times down here in Houston.
That's true. Well, the relocating, I'm telling you, like I said, even though we spent the bulk time of our childhood in New York, New Jersey, and Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, of course, Chicago. We were in Texas before we were. We are currently Texas now.
It's our second trip to Texas.
Second go around in Texas, and I'm telling you, I'm not
second go around in Memphis too. Second
That's
or third. Yeah, we moved to Memphis 2 or 3 times.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had great houses in Memphis. We had a real nice house over on South Parkway in Tanglewood.
Tanglewood. Yeah.
In
Tanglewood.
Memphis. It was a real house. Your mama really liked that house because she decorated. We redecorated that.
The whole house was pretty much refurbished.
Yeah.
And Mama loved the project. I mean, from the process of getting
the floors. She custom painted it. She did the blinds, the curtains. Everything. Oh, it was a project in motion every day.
She loved it.
Yeah, she loved that house.
Yeah.
She loved that house.
That was a nice historic house.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, the only thing, like I said, that was a drawback is like as we're getting older, we're moving to different areas, is that you get connected to, you go to schools, you have favorite teachers, favorite friends, and I think that was probably the only major thing that we complained about.
Oh, y'all complained about that. Y'all hated it, especially when we moved to Nashville.
Oh, God.
Yeah, y'all did not want to move to Nashville.
No.
Because y'all just knew it was going to be hick town, but it was a nice city.
It was nice, but see, this is when we moved from Jersey, right?
I know Nashville and Jersey.
That's two different places.
That ain't nowhere like
in Jersey. Yeah, in Jersey, we spent a majority of really before we hit preteen, we've been in Jersey.
Yep.
And then right before high school lets out, we got to move.
Yeah, so we moved. Y'all did not like it, and y'all liked Chicago because of all the snow.
The snow was it.
Yeah, y'all because that was new to y'all. Yeah, it would be so much snow.
Man,
it had 88 inches of snow. I think first year we moved there, and your mother adapted real well.
She did
to that weather because we had that old Volvo.
Yeah, I remember the Volvo.
Yeah, we had a Volvo back there. That car was reliable as it could be.
Now, at this point in life, everybody should know that racism does exist in our great United States. I want you to kind of go through some of the encounters, briefly on what racism you experienced while you were going through the music industry.
Well, I experienced it before that with your schooling. That was our first about when you went to school in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Oh yeah, I recall.
Okay,
That.
that was a real racist time. Even our whole state, matter of fact, in Grand Prairie
Was racist.
was racist.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was in the early 70s. I had just got back from Vietnam, and you were in the first grade or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was integration, and it was ugly.
Yeah, it was real.
Yeah,
ugly.
I did not like that period. Another period was when we first moved to Chicago. Chicago, and working with CBS. CBS was as racist as they come. I was kind of blown back to how racist CBS was because, I had worked for Stax,
Yeah.
which was a black company. Then I worked for Capital, which Capital was not into the black business enough to be racist. They were just trying to get
in there.
Yeah. So it wasn't a big black staff. It wasn't a whole bunch of black people working there. So I was the only black person in the Dallas branch. So I didn't really experience too much, at Capitol because I was more of a satellite. Then at ABC, I didn't because I worked out of the house at ABC. But when I went to Chicago with CBS, the manner in which they treated blacks was kind of surprising. Matter of fact, there was an incident when I first went to London with CBS. Somebody called Billy Paul a nigger. One of the branch managers of the CBS's branch called Billy Paul. I was kind of blown back when I first got there, but how openly it was.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of surprising, and I think it kind of made me develop the attitude that I had with CBS because you have to develop a thick skin.
Right.
It became a point to me that I was not going to let them disrespect me like that.
Right.
I had seen some of the stuff that they had done to blacks previously, the blacks that had worked there before me and Eason and Chaplin got over there. And some of the shit they had them doing, you were just
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. Dressing up as slaves, doing that. They'd have these sales meetings, and they'd have all kind of ridiculous stuff for black people to do, So you sort of have to develop a thick skin. If you're going to advance, you cannot become because I had a lot of people interview me about that. How did I deal with that? How did that, because if you are a proud person, which I am.
Yes, you are.
Okay. It became a point to the fact that they knew better.
Yeah, don't, not that one.
Okay, not that one. They knew. it was like they knew better. Matter of fact, I have an incident that I would tell you about that happened. Luther Vandross, and I were on tour, and we had just come back from Detroit, and I was exhausted. And you know how I am when I'm tired.
Yeah, cranky.
I was exhausted. It was a marketing meeting going on. So there were several big black one-stops in Detroit back then before they put all the black people out of business. Digital put a lot of black people out of work. But anyway, so I got back to the office, and there was no product in Detroit. They had sold out of all the Luthers. And we were on tour. We did a press tour with Luther in Detroit. So I come back into the meeting, and I'm expressing, I said, it was embarrassing to have Luther in the market.
Right.
We go to the major black retailers, and he sold out. I said, why didn't we do a deal or do something to get more of a layout on this product? So the vice president of sales, which was Paul Smith, hate him to today. Okay, he says, what do you expect me to do? Put product in every shoe shine shop in America?
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did. They had to pull me. They had to grab me and physically pull me out of the meeting. I mean, I would never forget that. Bob front row, I think, was the white boy. Great big white boy. Because I just came up out of it. I reacted before I
Thought about it.
Before I thought about it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm finna kill this. I said, what did you say? And another person was like that was Greg Peck. I had to talk Peck down several times that they would make little slighted remarks or slighted thing. And the thing that was most disgusting about it, because we were making major money and making major moves. Matter of fact, we were paying their damn salary. The black division of Epic Records which was Michael Jackson, Toomey, Ice was all. We were paying everybody salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
We
them
were the
hits.
one making all the money. Okay? Because the only thing that they had hidden right then, back then, was Cyndi Lauper,
Clash,
Culture
Club.
Club. That's it. Okay, Adam Ant, they tried, a couple of other European acts. They were getting most of their white acts from Europe.
Right.
Back then. But we were killing. We had Teddy Pendergrass, we had the OJs, we had Patti LaBelle. I had to tell you the story about your mama and Patti LaBelle.
Yes, let's hear it.
Patti had left Philly International. Patti, they did not treat Patti the way I thought they should have. Patti had a single. She had an album that she owed Philly International. She was leaving, going to MCA.
Right.
She had a record called New Attitude that she was finna do with MCA, but they were not going to release the Patti LaBelle album. They were just glad that Patti was gone.
Gone, yeah.
Okay. So Tony Martell, which was the vice president of Associated Labels, gave the project to me and asked me, did I think it was worth releasing this project, because she's no longer with the label.
Right.
And I took it home, and me and your mother listened to it. And there was a track on that album. Okay. I was sold on another track on that album. And it was between that track and If Only You Knew. And your mother insisted that track was If Only You Knew. She said, that's a hit, baby. She said, that's the only one single that your mama pulled.
But I can understand why she pulled it.
Yeah. It was a beautiful song. It's beautiful. One of the best Patti LaBelle's, I think, she's ever did. And it's the only #1 record Patti LaBelle has ever had.
See, your wife had that touch.
She had it. She had it on Patti now.
Touch.
Yeah.
And I know why Mama picked the record being a woman, because it's speaking on a woman's love for a man.
The depth.
And you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know the depth in which I love you. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what she's singing about in that track.
But, it's funny that you had to go through all that with your career. And at the same time, Rocky and I getting a little taste of racism. In school, like you said, there was biased teachers that would make it very obvious on where they stood. And, Lord, let's not get involved with the students, where they would just call us a nigga.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was our given name. So...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's still like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I bet you it's still like that, but I don't know if it may. Hopefully, it's better.
I hope it is.
Better. Yeah, hopefully it's better. But you and Rocky and we were the guinea pigs, because that was a new thing. Integration was a new thing back when y'all guys were coming up. So y'all had to be the guinea pigs for the experiment of mixing white kids and black. They don't even try no more though.
No, they really don't have no choice.
No.
Because
they don't try anymore, because they did it differently now. They do it by area codes.
Yep.
They don't do you in a nice area. It's like us. The only reason why Kevin went to a school one year that was a Latino black school was because they hadn't built enough schools for the zip code that we live in. Because the zip code that we live in, the Fort Bend County zip code, is one of the highest districts in the state as far as education. And it's because it ain't no cheap homes over here.
Right.
It's all $500,000 houses up. So the educational system is much better.
Way better.
From the education that they did with Kevin.
Yeah. I was very satisfied out in Fort Bend. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of this interview. Of course, we talked a little bit longer. So make sure you guys tune in on the next episode, where we will have part 2 of this amazing conversation with TC Thompkins, my dad. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, and share. And follow me on all social media. It's Talk to Me Michelle on all social media platforms. And we are doing occasional live streams on our YouTube. And if you like the episode, you love the content, make sure you support us at Buy Me a Coffee. BuyMeACoffee.com/Talk to Me Michelle. You can get merch. You can contribute to the show if you like the content. It just keeps more content coming in, gives us the ability to bring on more interesting conversations. So make sure you check us out at Buy Me a Coffee. So until next time, everybody, peace.
Talk to me, Michelle.
Are you looking to increase your brand awareness and gain new prospects? Our audience would love to hear from you. The Talk to Me Michelle podcast offers sponsor packages designed to put your brand in front of our engaged and loyal listeners. Every time we get a partnering with us means your message reaches a dedicated audience that trusts our recommendations. It's a fantastic way to build brand awareness and connect with potential customers. As our podcast continues to grow, so does your opportunity to reach more listeners. Our tailored sponsorship packages ensure you get the best value and maximum exposure. Become a sponsor today and be part of a vibrant and dynamic podcast community. Let's work together to achieve your marketing goals. Ready to get started? Email us at talktomemichelle@gmail.com to learn more about our sponsorship opportunities. Thank you for considering a partnership with our podcast. We look forward to promoting your brand.